Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another episode of the Joe Nolfo Show. I am your host, Joe Nolfo, and tonight on what is Halloween 2021, we have a super duper Halloween special for your viewing pleasure tonight. 5 of the monsters that have pretty much made Halloween what it is today are here for a series of interviews after 100 years of being in the business of scaring the hell out of people. That's right, tonight we have Frankenstein, Count Dracula, the Werewolf, and the Invisible Man are here to share some stories of their lives between movies and other showbiz gigs while living in the ever-hedonistic world that is Hollywood. From drug abuse to wild parties to arrests and everything else you can imagine, they have seen and certainly done it all. So grab a drink on this Halloween evening and sit back and enjoy the scary stories of these crazy famous monsters. Also for your viewing pleasure, our last interview of this episode will be with a woman by the name of Mildred Fester, who not long ago was bitten by a zombie while vacationing in New Jersey and has recently transformed into a zombie herself. She will share with legions of the curious what it's like to be a zombie. Now it's time for me to turn it over to Morley Danger of the critically acclaimed show 30 Minutes to take you on this ride down monster memory lane. So I'm out of here for now, but I'll see you all after the show. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. From the Joe Nolfo Show and the not quite yet a Motley Crue players, happy Halloween.
Hello and good evening. I'm Morley Danger, and welcome to another installment of 30 Minutes. Tonight on Halloween, we are going to be interviewing 5 of the most iconic characters to ever walk this planet. And they just happen to be monsters that are forever scary. And believe it or not, 4 of the 5 are immortal. Tonight, we will feature 5 interviews with Frankenstein, Dracula, the Werewolf, the Invisible Man, and a random woman who had the unfortunate luck to be bitten by a zombie on a New Jersey backstreet while on vacation. We are told her husband, who was accompanying her at the time of the horrible attack, did not survive due to the fact that the attacking zombie consumed his brain. So without further ado, let's start off with my interview with the legendary Frankenstein. Greetings, Mr. Frankenstein, and thank you for gracing us with your presence here on 30 Minutes. I have to start out by saying that I have been a fan of your work since I was a very young boy, and I am in awe of the fact that I am sitting here with you just a couple of feet away from me. It's awesome.
Take it easy there, Morley. I mean, I'm a man just like you, with the exception that I was reanimated from several different corpses produced from grave robberies a century ago, and was brought to life by a random bolt of lightning striking a castle top. Other than that, I put my pants on one leg at a time just like you do.
That all may be true, but I am still in awe. Also, I am noticing that you speak rather eloquently, and not at all like you did in the movies I watched in my youth. Did you take speaking classes or some sort of schooling for your linguistic development?
Oh, come on now, Morley. All that, forbod stuff. That was all for the movies just to scare people back then. At one time, I really wanted to become a real serious actor and do like Shakespeare and stuff like that. But my agent did some studies and we both came up with the same conclusion, that my overall appearance just wasn't going to be conducive with me becoming a star of real cinematic features like romance and such. Outside of horror movies, I knew I really didn't have a future, so I was kind of stereotyped into it, if you know what I mean. Heck, I even auditioned once for the leading role in that movie Gone with the Wind, but that bastard Clark Gable beat me out of it. I guess it is what it is, Morley. Yeah,
Well, Mr. Frankenstein, it all sounds quite glorious. Your life as an actor, that is. But there were some well-documented and darker times in your past. Alcoholism, drugs, and run-ins with the law. Would you care to share any of that with our viewers tonight?
Well, yeah, of course there were times when we monsters got out of control. What do you expect? It was like the 70s back then. I mean, anytime I would be out with Lawrence Talbot, aka the Werewolf, having drinks at some random bar in the Hollywood Hills, we'd be on a 3 or 4 day tear. And you just lose track of the lunar schedule. And you'd walk in a bar with him, he was crazy, and it would be still daylight. You'd be in there for quite some time, and you'd both be pretty damn drunk when you walked out later in the darkness. And if there happened to be a full moon, well, you could almost damn well guarantee someone was going to go to jail at best. And of course, there was that infamous time when I attended one of those man on fire events way out in the desert. No one, and I mean no one, ever told me that there would be so many damn bonfires. Well, it brought back some old-time memories, and as a result, I kind of lost it, man. And 10 people wound up in the ICU with broken bones and other life-threatening injuries. I mean, who knew, Morley?
I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds here, Mr. Frankenstein, because the last thing I would want to do is trigger that infamous temper of yours. But you have obviously omitted the most infamous run-in with the law you've had. I believe it involved you and a monster by the name of Count Dracula.
Morley Bond! Oh, relax, Morley. I'm just messing with you. The famous arrest with Count Dracula. I was just an accomplice in that caper. You see, me and the Count, we had been out partying at the Whiskey A Go-Go, drinking whiskey and doing lines of cocaine with Ozzy and Jagger and a couple other crazy rock stars, when Dracula just walks right into the place, and he asked me to accompany him on a special task that he had to do right then. So as me and the Count, we've been tight for a century or more, so of course I left with him. I had to help him out. Well, what it was he wanted me to do was to knock down a steel door at a local blood bank so he could feed on real human blood. The Count was he was completely stoned out of his mind at the time, and he was tired of that new synthetic blood they were pushing on all the vampires, and, he needed to taste the days gone by is what he told me, and I felt sorry for the guy, and I broke the damn door down. It was steel, and he couldn't do it, and I did it for him, and, I shouldn't have, but anyways, to make a long story short, it ended up costing me 90 days in the slammer and about a $150,000 fine. And also, ever since that day, me and Dracula, we drifted apart.
Well, I am sorry to hear that you and Dracula are at ends about that happening. I hope I didn't open any old wounds. All right, it's time for us to take a break, but when 30 Minutes returns, our own Gina Scoop will be sitting down and interviewing Count Dracula, who will be sitting right where Frankenstein is now. We'll be right back.
Bone Key is a hard-hitting thriller about paradise gone bad. Bradley West is a semi-wealthy New York City stockbroker who is in the middle of a midlife crisis and in desperate need of a lifestyle change. So what does he do? He drops everyone and everything in his life and moves to Key West, Florida to captain his own shrimp boat. Perfect dream, right? Not for Bradley West. A week later, he has crossed paths and fates with a lovely young island temptress with super deadly baggage, a wealthy treasure boat captain with a dark secret, a hard-nosed detective who would like nothing better than to pin a capital crime on him, and a bloodthirsty modern-day pirate who simply wants him dead. Not exactly the plan Bradley had for a life in paradise, and that's just the beginning. Bone Key hits the ground running and never slows enough to allow you to catch your breath right up to its powerful and explosive end. You can get your copy of Bone Key on Amazon.com books. Joe Nolfo, Joenolfo. I promise you, you won't be sorry.
Well, we're back here at 30 Minutes. I'm Gina Scoop, and sitting here before me is the legendary and iconic Count Dracula. Greetings, Count Dracula. Let me start by saying it's an honor to meet you, sir, and to have the esteemed privilege of interviewing you.
Yes, you are a very lucky mortal.
I hope that what I'm about to do will not anger you, but I always wanted to do this. In fact, it has been my lifelong ambition to do it. Well, here goes nothing.
Ah, foolish mortal, you will pay for this! Just kidding. The old crucifix has been ineffective for decades now. I thought everybody knew that.
Yes, it has been said that you went through painful experiences, both physically and financially, to rid yourself of the great pain the Lord's cross would inflict upon you. Would you share the epic story with our viewers?
Well, to be honest with you, Gina, there was a lot of adjustments I had to make if I wanted to live a remotely normal life. For instance, there was the problem with garlic. The fact that garlic is to me what kryptonite was to Superman imposed a huge problem. I will give you an example. It would be an average evening and everyone wants to go to an Italian restaurant. And I got to bounce because garlic is prevalent in all Italian food. And heck, I couldn't even enter the restaurant if the owner wasn't there to invite me in. And to add insult to injury, 99 out of 100 Italian restaurants always have mirrors as part of their motif. So I always had to explain to all the other patrons why I cast no reflection. It was exhausting.
I can see how taxing all that could be, but obviously you have put all those problems behind you. How did you do it?
Well, the first thing I had to do was go to the church and renounce Satan. And that's when they told me I had to go to confession. And so I did. Well, that first attempt at normalcy failed because after the priest invited me inside, the entire church burst into a giant ball of flames as soon as I took a seat in the confession booth. So I ended up having to pay for the church to be replaced and to bury the priest who never escaped the fire. So, as they say, try and try again, and eventually we were able to run the Lord of Darkness out of my soul. And as a result, I can eat garlic, cast a reflection, and as you saw for yourself, I can face a crucifix without burning scars into my flesh.
Well, that's great for you, Count Dracula, but let's move on. I now want to talk to you about the time you were jailed for having Frankenstein break into that blood bank in Los Angeles in the 70s. Frankenstein was the interview right before you.
Silence, mortal! You mean to tell me that no good bastard Frankenstein is here in this castle with me? No one told me of this predicament. This interview is over. It's over.
Oh, well, I guess that ends our interview with Count Dracula. Wow. Well, we will now go to a commercial, and when we return on this Halloween night, Morley Danger will be sitting here with the lycanthrope legend himself, the Werewolf. We'll be right back.
Bradley West is back, and he's back with a vengeance. After narrowly escaping the sunny island of Key West with his very life, Bradley has moved on to New Orleans into what he hoped would be a better life and a brighter horizon. But unfortunately for private investigator Bradley West, it didn't take long for the infamous city of nightclubs, fine restaurants, and debauchery to send its crazy karma out to find him. This ultra-bizarre saga has all the ingredients for a great American novel. A stolen monster reptile, two radically violent and warring factions of the Cajun Mafia, an abused, randomly bloodthirsty and psychopathic serial killer who takes orders from a Nordic god that exists only in his mind. Bloody Tuesday, an epic and terrifying thriller that will place you on a wicked roller coaster ride that will surely leave you wanting more. Read Bloody Tuesday on Amazon Kindle by author Joe Nolfo.
Hello again, and welcome back to this special edition of 30 Minutes. I'm Morley Danger, and as you can see, I'm sitting here with the man who has ruled the nightmares of many, the Werewolf. Mr. Werewolf, I have to say that you're not what we expected. You look like everyone else in the room. Tell me, what gives?
Morley, are you kidding me right now? Come on. I mean, as you probably know, my real name is Lawrence Talbot. I'm a regular guy, just like anyone else in this room, unless the moon's full. This is something that is a Talbot family curse. It's been around, told repeatedly in works of literature and major motion pictures. You are aware of this right now, aren't you? I mean, you being a reporter and all. I mean, come on. We don't have time for this, Morley. See what the moon, it's out there. It's coming. I mean, come on now. Let's get this interview on the road. I don't have time for this.
Well, let's not get that infamous Talbot temper on a roll. I'm just trying to open the interview with the first and very obvious question. I mean, after all, it is Halloween, and our viewers did expect to see you in wolf form.
Well, I mean, Morley, maybe your show's coordinator should have planned the order of your guest appearances out better. There's a full moon out there tonight, but as you can see by looking out the window over there, it's still a little bit early. Perhaps you should have scheduled the Invisible Man to appear before me. This is out of control. I don't have time for this right now.
Our show coordinator is quite good at what he does, and as a matter of fact, I'm looking out the window and the full moon has just appeared at this moment. Take a look. That didn't go as planned. We're going to another commercial, and when we return, Gina Scoop will be sitting right here with the Invisible Man for his first ever primetime interview. We'll be right back.
The King of Johnny Mangos is a once-in-a-lifetime story so compelling that once you are touched by its magic, you will never be the same. The King of Johnny Mangos is a story of two men on polar opposites of life's circle whose fates collide just twice in a 20-year period. World champion angler Mike Rossi has become instantly and absolutely obsessed with taking the trivial kingfish title away from the taunting captain Brian Gray, no matter what it takes or cost. The King of Johnny Mangos is an unforgettable and endearing tale that will take you on a journey to every corner of your emotions. You'll hit the highest highs and adrenaline-soaked danger to experience one of the most euphoric and sensationally ironic endings in the history of modern literature. Read The King of Johnny Mangos, available on Amazon Books by Joe Nolfo.
Well, we're back, and as you know, I'm Gina Scoop, and we are back here with a special Halloween feature, and that is the first ever candid interview with the world-famous man of mystery, the Invisible Man. Welcome to 30 Minutes, Invisible Man. And what should we call you besides the Invisible Man, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, you can call me Griffin, pussycat. That is my real name after all. What about you, Gina? What should I call you? I mean, besides gorgeous. I mean, you are built, mama. Well, she's a brick house. Mighty, mighty. She's letting it all hang out. You have any plans after the show, Gina?
Well, I have heard the rumors about you being a wolf. But man, oh man, were those understatements. Now, let's get serious. What was it like growing up invisible? I mean, there had to be a lot of disadvantages.
Oh, I am always serious when it comes to the language of love. But to answer your question, there were a lot of disadvantages, but there were also a whole bunch of advantages.
Could you name some of the advantages and disadvantages for our audience?
Sure. Let me think. Well, some disadvantages was when you pass your driver's test, but they won't give you a license because they can't get a picture of you on it. And also my high school yearbook, that was a real letdown. But on the upside, I was able to go into the girls' locker room without any of the chicks knowing I was ever there. That was fantastic. Hell, I knew how every hot chick in high school looked naked before any of the other dudes even had their first kiss.
Wow, you sure are a red hot pepper, aren't you?
Oh, Gina, you have no idea. Now getting back to me and you. What do you say about drinks and dinner after this little thingamajig is over? Hey, I promise you, you won't be sorry. You know what they say? Once you go invisible, the rest will only make you miserable.
You don't say. All right, it's time for us to take another break. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Read Tony Tonga and the Mystic Waterfall. Tony Tonga is a young member of the Rapinoe tribe a century ago in a seaside Polynesian island colony. This awesome roller coaster saga is full of danger, hardships, milestones, and phoenix-like risings that will make your heart and soul soar with euphoria. A classic and heroic story that comes along only once every 20 years or so. Tony Tonga loses his father at just 10 years old and is struggling with the responsibilities as the head of his family. But luckily for Tony, something in the way of a kindred spirit has come to his aid. Tony Tonga and the Mystic Waterfall. The treasured and unforgettable story of young Tony's rise to the top of the Rapinoe people, chronicling his life from childhood to adult in a once-in-a-lifetime novella that you will never, ever forget.
Hey, where's the invisible man? We come back and he's gone. His clothes are just laying on the seat there. Gina, where is he?
I mean, I looked away for a moment, and the next thing I knew, all his clothes were laying there in a pile where he was seated just a moment before. He may have left.
Oh, Gina! Gina Scoop! I'm here talking to you from the empty chair. No, I'm still here, Gina. You didn't really think I would leave before securing our late-night rendezvous, did you, my little lamb?
Oh my, you're still here. You surprised me. Well, we're out of time now anyways. I just wanted to thank you for allowing me to be the first person to interview you. I mean, it's been a pleasure. Oh my lord! Oh! That was not his hand! We here at 30 Minutes wish to apologize for the unruly behavior of the Invisible Man and hope none of our audience was offended. I promise you he will not be invited back on our show. Ever. So on to our final interview of the night. And this one is also the first ever of its kind. Mildred Fester. She was a regular woman on an ordinary vacation in New Jersey when tragedy struck. It seems that Mildred and her husband were viciously attacked by a rabid zombie. An attack in which her husband did not survive, poor fella. Now here, for the first time in the history of television, we have a live interview with an actual zombie, believe it or not. An interview with Mildred Fester, who actually is slowly turning into a ravenous and out-of-control zombie monster. And we here at 30 Minutes have watched and timed this one-on-one with Mildred before she turns completely, which would make this interview impossible, as you can see. So let me take you to the interview with an actual live zombie. So tell me, Mildred, because the whole world is watching and everybody wants to know, how does it feel to be a zombie?
Wow! Now that's what I call a Halloween special. Hope you all enjoyed it as much as we did filming it. Please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. And I want to wish you all out there, from myself and the not quite yet a Motley Crue players, a happy Halloween. So goodbye for now. I'm Joe Nolfo. And believe you me, I'm gone.